Hello, hello, and welcome once again. Happy New Year and all the best for 2021. Just a welcome to the cheap seats. We're back again after the festive hiatus. We're not like the UK. We take a break while everyone else decides to play sport. Gents, Happy New Year and welcome to the show again.
Same to you, Paul. Same to you, baby.
Yeah, Happy New Year, guys. It's been a good year.
It's been a good 6 days.
It has. Well, yes. So I think well done on your victory yesterday against a championship side named Brentford.
The mighty Brentford.
They're not mighty. They're okay.
They're pretty strong.
That job is someone I think we should all look out for. Today we're just going to talk about how the festive season has affected teams and suddenly the storylines for each team. So, for instance, Manchester United right now are sitting at number 2 on the log. Some people said stop the count. Yes, you Bills, but you can't stop the count until you play your game in hand. And they're looking like the PE teacher's great. Other teams who went into Christmas looking really well, i.e. Dean's team, Mourinho was great. He was amazing. All of a sudden, we're in January and you've won 1 match in 5. Liverpool missed opportunities, and Arsenal seemingly Arteta saved his job with the 3-game win on the bounce. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be thrashing that. And then on top of that, we're covering FPL. We're in a very interesting situation with shortened game week starting on Tuesday and Wednesday next week. And this is what the show is going to prepare you for. And then also figure out, because there's a somewhat double game week the following on that weekend that could make things happen. But first, Dean, I'm going to start with you in terms of Spurs. How was your Christmas festive period, and how has Spurs treated you over this period?
Not good. It was pretty shocking. We went from 1st to 8th, I think it was, in the space of a week. Hated football, decided to take up watching kayaking. It was just a terrible week. And I mean, unlucky in certain aspects, like a draw against Palace, should have won that. Liverpool last-minute header from that idiot Firmino. Kind of those kind of things just kind of spoiled it a bit. But and last week with Wolves should have definitely carried on and won that game. But I think the win against Leeds is a big one. And I think winning the semi-final last night against Brentford hopefully will instill a bit of confidence. We've got an easier run of games coming up now. The game against Fulham was postponed, but we've got Sheffield and the likes of that. So hopefully Spurs will turn it around and come back. I mean, it was a tough run of games, those 7 games that we had, facing some of the top guys. But I think came away. I mean, we 4th, so relatively unscathed. Obviously, we're not 1st, which I'm got kind of used to. But in a league as what we're experiencing at the moment, anything can happen. I mean, it was 2 months ago and we said, okay, Ollie's losing his job. And now they're going to probably go top if they win the game in hand. So you can never do anything in this league. No one knows what's going to happen. So for all you know, I wouldn't be surprised if Southampton wins this league. I don't know.
AB, speaking about Ole, when we stopped recording just before Christmas, Manchester United was mid-table, coming through a run of games that wasn't great. The next 6, we didn't see what was going on. Champions League wasn't as fulfilling as well. And now you're sitting 2nd on the log, looking very pretty with a Carabao Cup semi-final staring you in the face, and also a Manchester City team that somehow has COVID all over the place. But how are you feeling? What caused this turnaround in Manchester United?
Yeah, so I mean, we all remember that 0-0 draw with City just after the Champions League knockout. And that was probably the worst game of football I think anyone has ever watched ever. And then United had that dramatic Sheffield win. Well, not dramatic. They were quite comfortable, and then it was late drama where Sheffield could have stolen a point. And then I think it was that next game against Leeds, the 6-2, where it's at Old Trafford. United weren't doing really well at home. They were struggling for points. They had one of the worst home records in the league. They still do. and United turned up, the confidence, they turned up the pace, they started scoring goals for fun, only because Leeds don't know how to defend. And I think that could have been that catalyst, that little confidence to give the players to say, you know what, we can actually go and score 6 goals at home against a team that's, troubled bigger teams like the Chelseas in the past, and the Liverpools in the past. So why not? And then, of course, the late Wolves win, which in my opinion is very lucky, because when Marcus Rashford took that shot, I think Patricio had it covered. But it's about making your own luck, and it's about putting the ball into dangerous positions and asking Wolves to, stand up and do something. And unfortunately, Saiss got that deflection. So I think I'm fairly happy. Obviously I'm happy. United could go top of the log with the game in hand, or with winning the game in hand. But I'm not confident at all that this is a done deal. This is way, way, way too early to call anything. But it's promising signs, and you can't really be unhappy about that.
So, do you think that? And I'm going to ask Dean, because you're not emotional about this. Is our friend Ole being helped by great coaching and he's doing a great job, or is it because everyone else around him seemingly is dropping points and acting as though they don't know how to play football anymore?
I think it's a bit of both. I mean, Liverpool, they should have smashed West Brom. They should have smashed Southampton, and then you wouldn't be sitting in the same situation you're sitting in at the moment. The only thing is that, and Wahid would probably disagree if he was here, but I think the playing of Paul Pogba has had a bit to do with it. I think he has brought a little bit something extra to that team, and you can't ignore the fact that him playing 90 minutes has coincided with United doing better. Scott McTominay, even though I don't rate him, he was insane in that Leeds game, and I think those sort of players, those sort of guys that have come through and been there for a while, are really sort of helping Ole do what he needs to do. But at the same time, we were in a similar situation with Chelsea where we were singing their praises, then all of a sudden it went bust. So I think it's a bit of both. I think probably I don't see how sustainable this is for United. They've got Liverpool and then they've got Arsenal, so we'll see what they do in January. But it is good to see a sort of Liverpool United season again, where those two teams are at the top, even though as a Spurs fan, I hate it. It's good for the league, and I think it'll bring back some of that competitiveness, bring back some of that sort of, the banter that we needed from those two teams. And I will take the medicine that Wahid hands out and not count chickens when it needs to. And honestly, this league will come down to the 38th game probably, and that's when we'll know who's going to win the league.
Okay. That's actually quite interesting, because obviously we were singing Lampard's praises. It was all great. It was lovely. And then all of a sudden, Chelsea give us a run of games that we just never expect. And it looks like Timo Werner can't score anymore. It's looking like they're having goalkeeper issues now at the back. Lampard's looking as though he's the green manager we all thought he was. And that's been something that's been fascinating about the season, is that teams are having their bad moments at different times. Arsenal had theirs in a protracted moment, and now they're playing catch up. Man City started the season not so great, but they're pushing. But Chelsea seemed to be all good. Everything seemed to be fine. And then in this moment, AB, they're all of a sudden, you're sitting there going, they're very soft. They are conceding soft goals. They can't score. They can't. Lampard's back to the Lampard who's trying to figure out what his best 11 was. Yeah. What do you make of this decline? Is it just because we were in 2020?
I mean, you can't just blame a year, like a horrible year, one of the worst years in our existence, on it. But I don't know. I feel like this is where Frank needs someone more senior in his coaching staff just around him, or he could have used, or maybe a more senior manager would possibly getting better results from the players. Because after losing to Wolves, which was a shock of a result, we saw Chelsea come back and they did really well against West Ham. We thought, cool, this is it. They're setting themselves up nicely for the London derby. And then Mikel...
That's a London derby, by the way, as well, if you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's West Ham. And then you go away to the Emirates and you get a hiding on Boxing Day, which is no team
from the kids.
No team wants to lose on Boxing Day. Boxing Day and New Year's Day, no team wants to lose, regardless of if there's fans in the ground or whatever. And we didn't. So then, cool. You think just a blimp in the road again. A week later, are they going to respond? They're playing Aston Villa, one of the most dangerous sides in the league right now, and they couldn't do much. Olivier Giroud came on. It was a big thing. He started. He scored a great goal, and then nothing happened. So it seems like a lot of stops and starts for Frank, and that's because he's not sure what his best team is. And if he knew that, and he possibly stuck with that best team, or even stuck with a team, maybe he'd be getting a bit more consistent results. Ollie's forced to stick with one team because United only have one team.
Well, that's not necessarily everyone's problem right now. Dean, as AB was talking about, starting with one team, and I do think that he needed to kind of stick. I think he found December a little bit too much, and then he felt the need to chop and change. I like Tammy Abraham at the top, in the middle, running things, or even Olivier Giroud. Just pick one and start and the rest of his half a billion pounds worth of forward play. That created a little bit of a problem because you've got Pulisic, you've got Mason Mount, you've got everybody else, and everybody needs game time. But it seemingly he kind of fell into the trap of, in December you rotate your squad, whereas I think all the teams throughout December that did well kept the same squad. They tried to force it down everyone's throat, except if you're Liverpool. But even Liverpool chopped and changed, and they got beaten. What is Timo Werner's best position, and what is Lampard's best front three?
Well, it's interesting you say that because 100% I went and had a look at Chelsea's formation over the last couple of games, and it literally changes every game. Werner doesn't know what he's supposed to do at the moment. He doesn't know if he's playing off the right, if he's going to go in the middle next game. 100% agree. Tammy Abraham should be up front because he provides that marksman and he needs guys running around him. He's that out and out striker that they need. Him or Giroud, because when Giroud's on, Giroud's one of the best. But I think, and we've touched on it in terms of the sort of what's his best starting 11. But something that I was reading about in the Man City game is Chelsea, after City scored that first goal, in a period of about 5 minutes, Chelsea completed 4 passes, of which 2 came from Mendy, right? So they have 4 passes in 5 minutes. In the same time, City had 50. So that just goes to show that if you go hard against Chelsea, the confidence isn't there. You score an early goal, they have no idea what to do anymore. Their confidence is shattered. They're running around like headless chickens. There's a photo I've seen where they've got 3 Chelsea guys on 1 City player in the middle of the park. Like, there's just no clue. No one knows what they're doing because no one knows where they're supposed to be, which is because Frank just keeps chopping and changing. And exactly that. I don't see Werner going in the middle up front. Like I said, it should be Tammy. But then Werner needs to be able to adapt a bit better and play off that right-hand side, or off the left-hand side, and then Ziyech should come off the right-hand side with his left foot. But, Ziyech has had his injury problems and whatever, but they've got so much quality in that team. And, you're going to spend £200 million, you kind of expect more, which we're obviously not seeing. And it's happened before, the guys that go and redo their whole team, inevitably no one knows what's going to happen the next season, and they either click or they don't. And that's what we're seeing at the moment. They're just not clicking. I mean, Thiago Silva there should be, the sort of beacon at the back, which he is, and he should be really sort of putting confidence in the rest of the team, but it's just not happening because you've got Kante running around like he always does, but he has no idea who's going to be next to him in the next game. Sometimes it's Kovacic, sometimes it's Jorginho, sometimes, Mason Mount shouldn't be in that team anyway. If you've paid so much for Havertz, put Havertz in, Don't leave Mason Mount in that stupid team. But
Lampard's child. I think that man has started every single game for Chelsea since the last season.
Exactly.
Moving on to another team, we spoke about it a little bit. The team that beat Chelsea. These are the teams, and we're now moving. Oh, let's talk about Liverpool. What's going on there? I do not know what Jurgen Klopp is trying to do. I think his strategy is now to start attacking the refs. We know they had injuries. They seemed fine. But all of a sudden, the goals have dried up, which is funny. And it's odd when you've got Mane, Salah, and Firmino never scored, but it was a formidable front three. Diego Jota seemingly was the guy who kind of gave them that impetus. Is it second season tiredness? Because obviously when you're a champion and you've won and you've exerted so much emotions with what was going on, is it catching up to them, and is it catching up to them at the wrong time?
I think so. I think you nailed it on the head earlier when you said every team's going to have their bad patch and everything's going to happen at the different times. And I think that's exactly what's going on with Liverpool. It was like 2 weeks ago they smashed Palace 7-0. every single shot they took went in. Now they can't score against bloody, Southampton or one against West Brom.
The infamous Mo Salah on the bench game, and he was like, "I've got myself as captain and triple captain myself on fantasy, so I need to score goals."
Exactly.
Yes, but then you contrast that against the West Ham or even a Southampton team. Yes, Southampton are great. Danny Ings is seemingly, it felt like he wasn't injured. It's like he never left. But then all of a sudden they conceded an early stupid goal. But you would expect Liverpool to step up, AB, and fight on. But all of a sudden they are. It's just lackluster. They just disappear.
So weirdly enough, Liverpool haven't scored a goal in the Premier League in 4 hours of football. The last goal they scored was Mane against, I think it was West Brom when they.
Yes, it was that early goal against West Brom.
Yeah, I think they drew at the end. And Liverpool have had a shocking away season so far. They've won 2 away games. One which was Palace, which is the other day, where they won 7-0. And then all the way when they played Chelsea, against the Chelsea team which had someone sent off. I can't remember who it was. I want to say David Luiz, but he doesn't play for Chelsea anymore.
It was Christensen. It was Christensen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. So Liverpool going away are really struggling for some reason. And that to me screams mental issues or something about the squad's mentality, about their preparation going into a match. And I don't know, it's not the fans. I know that for the Liverpool fans when they travel are great, just like most fans when they go away. But maybe teams aren't afraid anymore of Liverpool. Maybe they've lost their invincible aura of, oh my word, it's Liverpool, we need to defend and we need to make sure we don't lose this game.
Well, look, if Sam Allardyce can go there and get a point, anybody can, seemingly. But what do you make of Jurgen Klopp's complaints about the penalties? You've gone crazy about him saying that Manchester United have had in the last 2 years, and I'm going to say it for the viewers, in the last 2 years, Manchester United have had more penalties awarded to them than Liverpool have had in the last 5 seasons. The question is, in the world of VAR, where we're supposed to get a correct answer, surely then that means that Manchester United have been denied more penalties in the past and everything's been corrected now. But Jurgen Klopp doesn't seem to think so. He says if you're wearing Manchester red, the referee automatically is the 12th man and you get everything, including VAR. What do you say to that?
And I mean, that's perfectly timed for the game in 11 days' time. And that's all it is. It's Jurgen needs to deflect away from the fact that they lost to a team they shouldn't be losing to, and the goal that was scored by a player he sold, I believe. But anyway, that's just one of those things. Jurgen needs to rally his troops up. He's saying that, he's got a weaker team. If I look at the Liverpool team that played Southampton, all of them start in a normal Liverpool team.
Reece Williams. Reece Phillips or Williams. I don't know who that centre back was. I was just like,
Trent played.
no, Trent played on the right.
They don't have centre backs. We could go play centre back for Liverpool at the moment.
Wait, but hold on. Didn't Jordan Henderson play centre back against Southampton? Isn't he supposed to be?
Yeah, it was Henderson and Fabinho centre back.
He normally starts. The fact that they.
But isn't he the PFA player of the year?
Exactly.
Don't tune Henderson on the show. Don't tune Henderson. He's sacred.
It's not a personnel problem for Liverpool. It's not like they're missing Mohamed Salah and Mane together. Mm-hmm. Yes, they're missing the greatest defender to have ever played the game, and unfortunately he's injured. But they're in a transfer window. They can sign someone.
Did you just say Virgil van Dijk's the greatest defender to ever play the game?
Teaching page for Liverpool at the moment.
Wait, should we take your Manchester United card and give you a Liverpool one?
No, ask any Liverpool fan. This is the guy. He's better than Cannavaro. He's better than Maldini.
He's better than Nemanja Vidic.
Yeah, this is. I'm speaking facetiously.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We're just trying to check if you had decided to swap red jerseys, we could always buy you one for your birthday.
I've got my.
Oh,
like Superman there. Just zipsy.
Night mode there.
The one thing that Jurgen does have going for him is Liverpool are still a force to be reckoned with at home, and the game against United is at home. So he can, I don't know, Anfield maybe has that aura. Maybe the players have a better pre-match prep going on before they play a home game. But whatever he needs to do, he cannot afford to lose that game at Anfield. I know, as a United fan, if you gave me a draw at Anfield right now, I'd take it and walk away with it 100% any day of the week, especially seeing as United have this game in hand, which could be a 3-point lead, and then just maintain that. But
could be a 3-point lead. Wow. Okay, you're moving into the realms of certain coaches now. So let's talk about the teams that have done well in this period. There are three of them that I've earmarked. Manchester City kept on complaining about COVID cases before the Chelsea game, and seemingly they found Kevin De Bruyne and Raheem Sterling, and they were fine. And they've won 3 in a row. Leicester City, not well spoken about, but they are just hanging around, waiting for you guys for everyone else to drop points, just like they did in 2016. Could this be their year? And then my team, and I'm going to ask both of you to talk about the 3 if you'd like, or if you don't care about either one. Arsenal, 3 wins on the bounce. It's now Arteta in. Everything's great. Kolasinac is in Germany. William Saliba's in France. Socrates is about to leave. It's so great.
And I'm being funny. I mean, everyone's going back to where they came from.
Yes. It's like the best opportunity for Mikel Arteta, and the kids are all right. Emil Smith-Rowe has unlocked Ozil in this game of FIFA, and he showed that to West Brom in the snow. Bukayo Saka's looking great, so I'm excited. I don't know about you guys. We're still we're top of the bottom half of the log, which is awesome. And
behind Chelsea.
Yes, we're 3 points behind Chelsea. We're 10 points behind the log leader. Or what was it? Is it what is it? 29 points. What number is everyone on now? 33. I think we're
23, 10 points behind Liverpool.
Yeah, we're 10 points behind everyone else. So that's 3 games. That we could. We could. A team could. So I'm excited, and I think it's been a great turnaround. And finally, somebody listened to me in putting an Emil Smith-Rowe into the game. Into the games, and that game against Chelsea was just sublime. But there's newfound happiness, and that's what it is. That's what the season's been. You ride the waves, and all of a sudden, Christmas, we're out of Christmas, and we are no longer in a relegation zone, and it's been great. What do you guys think of the teams that have done well? What have they done well? What is it just because it's Christmas and it's COVID and everything's just upside down in this season?
I mean, as a Spurs fan, you guys have beaten Brighton and West Brom. Chelsea win fine, but Chelsea's in a shambles. But you've beaten Brighton and West Brom. And now all of a sudden Arsenal are winning the league. Calm down.
I didn't say we're winning the league. I
Calm
just
down.
said we're in a good spot.
I mean, it's 2 games. I can't take it away from the guys. Like they are playing well.
Oh my word, it was depressing. Start of
100%.
December was so depressing.
The kids are playing. If he ever doesn't play soccer now anymore, or then Arteta doesn't know what he's doing. I think that kid's flipping amazing. But it's 3 games that you've won, and you've gone from everything is in level. I hate football. You get me out of here too. Oh my word, we are top of the bottom half. So that's just how things change so quickly in this bloody league. It'll be interesting to see. You guys have got Palace, Newcastle, and then Southampton. Palace, I'll probably see you guys taking a win there. But Newcastle, like we saw against Liverpool, they can frustrate players, or they can frustrate a team. Darlow's flipping good. So, I'm just kind of waiting for that next Arsenal blow up. And Southampton after that again, they can very easily have that.
That's going to be hurt. There's going to be a hurt locker.
So, by the end of January, it's going to be Arteta out again and, take everything away. Ozil's leaving, I saw as well. So, I don't know. Yeah, the thing is exactly with this season, ride the wave when it's good. And when it goes bad, take it as it comes. But it hurts when you see Arsenal are doing well. I'm not going to lie, it hurts.
And in Man City and Leicester, what has Pep caught a second wind and he's now going to go on a massively long unbeaten run, or are we going to see them fall apart somewhere along the line as well?
I want to see what AB says about City, because I've got my own theory.
City have quietly just done look, they've been very inconsistent. We know this. They started off inconsistently. They got hammered by Spurs that one time when we thought Spurs were like, okay, this is the turning point for Spurs.
This is the league-winning Spurs after how many years?
After that City game, they really showed like pedigree. But you don't know. In a month's time, United could drop points, Liverpool could drop points, Leicester could drop points, Spurs could be top of the log again. Could happen. But City haven't had the toughest of games. They've had West Brom. Yes, they beat Southampton. That's great. But I don't know why we're calling Southampton a great team. Because one manager cries when they beat a very underperforming Liverpool team anyway. Then
he's cried.
Yeah, Steve Bruce is not a manager. He was barely a defender. No, sorry, I said Steve Bruce is a great defender. It's just what he'd always compares Harry Maguire to Steve Bruce, so it taints Steve Bruce's reputation. And then it was that the Chelsea game. The City and Chelsea game was a big moment for the City team, because now they finally think, okay, cool, we've beaten a Big Four team. We've got a cup semi-final. We win this. We're in a final. We can win silverware that we won last year. Let's do it. We're back on where we should be. We're 2-3 points away from the top. We're in the Champions League round of 16. Not much has changed for City. So tonight's game, yes, it's Carabao Cup. Yes, it's like £100,000.
It's the prestigious Carabao Cup, baby.
It is the prestigious Carabao Cup. But it's important for confidence purposes. Because City don't have a tough Premier League round of fixtures when they play next week. They got Brighton, they got Palace, they got.
Hey, Brighton could have a South African in that side. Be careful.
Brighton could have a South African. There we go.
Could have Percy Tau. We need that book permit. We really do.
We'll all become Brighton fans. And
yes.
City don't really have any big names to play until it's Feb. And I think it's the first couple of weeks of Feb where they've got Liverpool, Spurs, and Arsenal. So they need to get as much points as they can right now to cement themselves into a top 2, top 3, and then they can afford to address those games like Pep usually likes to by just defending and playing anti-football. And then they're okay.
Okay. There's one team we don't talk about and nobody talks about, but for the fact that I think we all love James. Leicester, are we just allowing Brendan Rodgers to just hang around in the top 4 and try and steal it from everybody?
My only thing with Leicester is it's kind of one of those teams that you go, oh yeah, but it's just a matter of time until something goes wrong. We said that a couple of years ago and then they won the league, but they are playing really well at the moment. I mean, Maddison coming back has had a big impact as well. you can see him pulling strings there, scoring goals. He's really making that team tick. And then, Vardy's obviously always going to do Vardy things when they've got the chance. So they are playing well. I mean, against Spurs, it took a stupid penalty and then an own goal, and that's why they beat us. So I don't think they played well against us. But Leicester can probably stick around. The only thing is exactly like what we saw towards the end of, last season after the break. Leicester just imploded. They were supposed to stay top 4 and then they finished, I can't even remember, I think it was 5th or whatever it was. But that's the kind of feeling you have about Leicester. So if Rodgers can address that, which 100% back him, he's probably the best man to do that, then they'll probably stick around. But for now, it doesn't seem like they've got the legs to be able to continuously do it for the rest of the season. But we'll see. I think, like I said, Maddison coming back is a great thing. Vardy will always be there. And they've got good timing. They've got Tielemans in that team. He's flipping amazing when he decides to rock up. And that back line, is always going to be a good team centered around that. I saw Sionchu came back over the weekend, so he's looking fit and ready. So it's looking good for Leicester. But like I said, we'll just, as we've said with every single team right now, we'll just wait and see. So great pundits, we'll just wait and see.
And there's this specter of the league probably being shut down. 45 players tested positive in the last test that came out yesterday. So there'll be more games being postponed, and possibly even if the COVID cases continue, we could go into a lockdown and resume again 3 months later. How do you guys feel about all of this? Playing in this with all these games being postponed, how did you? I wasn't happy. I was kind of. I understand it's the best, but it kind of feels that everyone's going to be stop-start the whole way through, and it's not good.
And you're going to get into a position like similar to what we had last year and last season, and it's going to be very uncertain. We're already rushing through games as is. Then you've got the element of Europa League and Champions League and all of that going on. There's a World Cup meant to be happening next year. No one knows about
and
that.
there's Olympics that is supposed to happen in August as well.
So I'm not in favor of shutting down these games. I think teams can bubble themselves. But then again, I know that the Premier League is allowed to continue, within reasonable means. Obviously, if people are positive left, right, and center, then teams are going to have to cancel. But it's going to get to a stage where they're going to have to go back to the agreed upon forfeiture of points, which was initially planned, and now it's not. And just another point on the Leicester thing is, this is the first season that we've seen Leicester play, what's that continent called? European football, since in a long time. I wonder how long they will last or what they will prioritize. Do they prioritize the Europa League or do they prioritize the Premier League? They don't have the biggest of squads. They don't have the most money. What do they do?
And the last time Leicester played in Europe, they finished 10th. They finished in the bottom half of the season. They really struggled. And so too did Wolves. And Wolves are seemingly struggling even right now. And
Wolves lost their player. They lost 2 players. They lost Jota and then they lost Jimenez.
Yeah. Okay, guys. There's not a lot of games to look forward to. It's FA Cup weekend. So we're gonna end the Premier League portion of the cheap seats, and we're gonna move over into the fun part of the show where everyone now is gonna start with the banter. I'm gonna play a 30-second interlude, and we'll come back in to the cheap seats FPL edition after this. And we're back, and welcome to everybody who's still with us and joining us. This is the FPL edition of the Cheap Seats. We're talking how the FPL has been. Quick question, Dean and AB. How have your Christmases have been on FPL? 6 game weeks happened in December. How was it?
Mine was terrible. Mine was absolutely terrible. I chose the wrong captain, I think 5 of the 6. And it just goes to show how important, I think, we're getting to that stage in FPL where everyone's sort of got the similar or same guys in their team. Everyone's going to have Salah, everyone's going to have Kane, everyone's going to have Son, everyone's going to have the cheap defenders. Everyone's team is sort of the same. The thing that's going to change or that's going to affect your ranking is who you put that captain's armband on. And that's really the most important decision you can make. Obviously, it's a lot tougher when you've got Salah against West Brom and you're expecting him to score 7 goals by himself and he does nothing. Those kind of weeks are going to happen, but it's more important from now on till the rest of the season to get your captains ready. But having what we're coming up now with that blank game week 18 and then double game week 19, this is really a chance where people can shake up their teams and try and gain on the likes of AB, because it hurts when I see I'm in 8th or 7th on our log.
Before we go to AB, my month was great. I've moved from the bottom relegation zone, similar to Arsenal. I'm mid-table-ish now. I'm trying to chase Wahid. But yeah, my strategy was I needed to find the differential players from whoever everyone else was picking, because everyone's sides are all the same above me. There's always Salah, there's Salah, there's Kane, there's Son, and so obviously I kept on with Vardy. I had KDB. Thomas Suchek has been a blessing to me, such a blessing. Every time there's a corner kick for West Ham, Thomas comes through for me. So it was great. So for me, I think it kind of helped reshape the team and set it up. The only problem is that I used my free hit, when was it? Early on in December, and now I've got nothing for this coming game week. But we'll talk about that later. AB, how was your December?
A rival emerged on my overtook me. We were literally tied going into the last game week. I don't know, I think it was 17. And then he got 6 points more than me. And now the lead is 6. And he doesn't have Kane, but he has Son, but he has Suchek.
Wait. Let's talk about this Liverpool, this Tottenham duo. Sorry, Dean. I'm acting all Arsenal right now. When's the time to sell? Is it if you have Son and Kane right now? Are you on a good path, or are you supposed to sell? Are you supposed to only keep one? And which one have you kept? So you don't have Son and Kane. Looks like a Dean.
No, I've got both. And I've had that been part of my downfall because they had a bit of a dip when Spurs had the dip. Perfectly coincided with my FPL dip because Son and Kane did nothing. But the issue now is we've through that tough game. You saw against Leeds what they can do again with Kane goal assist, Son goal assist, the normal what we used to. And to be honest, our run of games isn't that bad. We've got Sheffield. We play Aston Villa, and then we've got Sheffield, which Sheffield, anything can happen, but you're kind of expecting big guys, big points from them there. And then it's Liverpool and then Brighton, so you're kind of expecting something there. And then Chelsea and then West Brom. So it's kind of up and down, so you can't really afford to sell one, buy one again, sell one, buy one again. And those are the kind of guys you want for those games. So I think if you've got Kane and Son now, you keep Kane and Son. And it can only be good things coming up. And I saw a lot of guys sell either one or one or the other. I struggle to do that because, you see Son blistering it and then you sold him and then it kind of just hurts you even more. So for me, if you've got both, keep both. If I had to choose one to keep though, or if I had to choose one to have from now on, I'd probably be Kane. Just in terms of everything that he brings, as well as those bonus points. You see him picking up 3 bonus points more often than you see Son picking up 3 bonus points. So that would be kind of the strategy. But yeah, if you have them, don't sell them.
So mine was I picked Son early on. I wouldn't have 2 Tottenham players on my side, and Son's been there've been moments where Kane will, and this is the thing you have to ride as an FPLer, is that Kane will always score. You just hope that Son is the assister when he scores, to get something out of it, but obviously you lose out on those differentials. AB, are you a fan of both or one?
Yeah,
and which one?
I'm a fan of both. I've got both. They did well last week. Not so much the week before, but then again, last week or for the last 2 weeks, Mo Salah hasn't done well. So it's just you got to keep this long-term sort of on FPL, you can't be thinking about Mohamed Salah and Son and Harry Kane as your ins and outs of the week. You're going to lose a lot of value there. So don't sweat the small stuff. I look at them as the Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba of the Premier League now, and they're a mainstay for me. The only time I'll get rid of them is if there's an injury, like a long-term injury or one of those things. But yeah, I'm quite happy with Son and Kane.
Okay. So FPL Game Week 18 starts next week Tuesday, and there are 6 fixtures. I'm going to read them out. Sheffield and Newcastle, Brighton and Manchester United, Wolves and Everton, City and Brighton, Villa and Spurs, Arsenal and Palace, which means Liverpool are not playing. Leicester, for me, are not playing. Chelsea are not playing. How do you handle this game week, knowing that you've got a double game week in the next where there are extra 6 fixtures with 12 other teams playing there as well, additionally? I know this is the time where you use your chips, and that was my strategy. I didn't think that game week 19 would be before game week 18. What do I have? I think I've used one chip. I used my bench boost. Yes, I used my bench boost in December, but I should have waited and used it possibly for game week 19 with the 16 fixtures that are on show. But I still have a free hit. Is this the time for us, for FPLers, to use the free hit on game week 18 and still have that squad mentality that you've had already all season? And for 19, and we'll also have a wild card and play the new wild. If you already played the wild card, you're way ahead of us. But the January wild card is active. So AB, what's the strategy? What's your strategy coming into 17 with the reduced games and 18 with the additional games?
So I used my free hit early on for some reason. I can't remember why, but I'm okay.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
We're coming for you.
Is going to be using the wild card because now I know who I don't want in my long-term squad. I'll make a team. I'll be fine. I'm quite happy there with using my wild card. It's one of those things you have to use it sometime. So why not now? I need it now. I'm not one of those guys who hangs on to these things for too long, just because it's not like you're saving money. You need it right now, so use it. The one thing, though, the one piece of advice that I can give those who are playing a free hit is, and I saw someone do it, and then I used it on my free hits, and it kind of helped a little bit. But when you use your free hits, don't worry about your bench. Buy the cheapest non-playing guys on your bench. Buy the 3.1s. Buy the, only focus on your core 11. Or the guys you're going to start with. Don't even worry about your bench, but make sure those guys that you are buying start. So go and buy, I don't know who the cheapest player in the game is. Probably some defender somewhere. But yeah, buy that dude. Keep her on your bench. Don't stress about it. That's my only advice for the free hitters out there, which is not a bad option. If you've got a free hit, if I had a free hit now, I'd use it and then take more time just because it would help to have a bit more time before you use your wild card and all of that. But where my squad is right now, I need to use my wild card, just so happens.
The other thing with the free hits that I've seen with other players is that they pick a fixture and they pack their side with, obviously only have 3, but you'll have I think the one Liverpool and Aston Villa game, the one guy used his free hit. He had 3 Aston Villa players, 3 Liverpool players who didn't work out, but he won on the Jack Grealishes and everybody else. And the last time I think that I saw someone with a free hit, it was literally focused on one fixture. He had all Leicester players and he had everybody else, and Leicester balled out and everything else. Is that a fair assumption that people could use, Dean, in this thing if we're going down the route of a free hit for game week 17 and possibly a bench boost for 18?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I'm doing. So during the break, I could listen to as many FPL podcasts as I could. So what I've been doing is kind of preparing my team for the double game week so that I can bench boost in the double game week. So getting all the guys that are going to play twice there and then playing my free hit now to just get the guys that are playing And then when the team reverts, I'll have enough guys and I'll probably bench boost and do that. When that free hit comes, though, or when the free hit happens, for me, there's 3 matches that you need to target. There's Newcastle, Sheffield. So kind of banking on Newcastle keeping a clean sheet as well as probably scoring. So you're looking at Darlow as keeper, and you're probably looking at Wilson up front, and you're probably like Clark, or I see Yedlin's playing quite a bit now at right back for Newcastle. And he's quite cheap, and he can probably get you an assist or, you know, something like that. So that's a good match to target. Also, United Burnley, so the likes of Fernandes, Rashford, probably Wan-Bissaka because, you know, Burnley don't score that much. But you
Why
need
not the other
a
one on the left? Why not the other one on the left where he's friend?
I'm not putting Luke Shaw anywhere in my team. So
United will concede. Please.
if okay. So there, from a United fan, they'll concede. And then the other match is City Brighton. If you have to have KDB in your team.
Oh, that is beautiful. KDB, Sterling. You just pack it.
Yeah, pack it there.
And Pep, there's no Pep rotation because he's got COVID.
Exactly. So, you know, that's why I said it's going to be interesting to see what happens in these next 2 weeks. I think a lot of leagues and a lot of rankings are going to get shuffled up. If it all goes to absolute rubbish, then I might play a wild card before that double game week and see what happens. But the other thing that, you know, and it does change because you kind of look at like KDB, they didn't initially have a double game week in 19. Now they're playing Palace Villa in the same time, but they've got Brighton now. So it does change. It, you know, can happen with all these delays or, you know, postponements of the matches and things like that. So you do kind of just have to stay on top of it. It's going to change every single day.
And the other thing, and do you guys expect another double game week somewhere along the line as well because of all these postponements? So if you missed this one, there's another one coming up. So we're not saying hang on to your chips, but don't feel like if you hadn't used it now, there's another, because this game week 19 literally surprised everyone. Like, because I thought it was going to be the double game week was going to be this 17 one with this the one that's coming up on Tuesday, but it seemingly, I don't know, moved everybody around. So from a captaincy perspective, in that double game in this deal was Tuesday and Wednesday's game week, and then we'll talk about the double game week. From a captaincy perspective, I see Newcastle's playing. Is Wilson a shoe-in? Sheffield's defense is horrible. They've only got 2 points. Can you as a differential a Callum Wilson? Because obviously there's no Salah. There's Bruno there. That's possible. There's Harry Kane or Son if you want to go there. There's also KDB or Sterling if you're looking for a left field option. Are there any other left field options that you're looking at? I see Arsenal's paying Palace. Right now, Bukayo Saka is probably the cheapest guy you can get into your team around about 5, and he probably could help you. But we don't know what you're going to get with Arsenal. But it is a possibility. Are there any other guys that were not? Dominic Calvert-Lewin's playing Wolves, and Wolves are just hopeless. Where are you guys going for a captaincy that is against the norm? Because obviously Mo Salah, we can't captain him every week.
Fernandes. I mean, I'll put the captain's armband on Fernandes. Burnley away, he will score. But if you're looking for a differential, I also thought of Neto. Wolves against Everton. He's on a good run of form and he can score. He's looking like the only guy in that Wolves team that can score at the moment. So Neto is not a bad shot, but the big thing, I mean, you know, I've also seen a few guys that are like, well, maybe I should just take like an 8-point hit and try and get some oaks in my team that are actually playing. Don't do that. Like, if you don't have a free hit,
you know, if you're listening, you can do that. Do you know you can please?
Do you know you can do that? Everyone that's above me in our league, please go and take a 12-point hit if you don't mind, and then everything will be good. But yeah, I think having this, if you have the chip, play it. If you don't, ride it out. Like, whatever happens. It's going to be if it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad, and then you try and recover later on. But the other thing that I also just wanted to mention, sorry, on the double game week, West Ham have 2 really easy fixtures.
Thomas Suchek.
So you've got Burnley, West Brom, Thomas Suchek, Kufal. Even looking at like Jared Bowen there, they all looking like good options. So
finally a Moyes team I can support.
There you go. So West Ham's looking good at the moment.
Just a warning with the double game week, and this happens every single year, and we as FPL players never learn, is that we'll see that, let's say, for example, now that like Thomas Suchek is playing against Burnley and against West Brom, and you're like, cool, I'm going to put him in, I'm going to triple captain him, I'm going to do everything. He's going to start one game, and he's not going to start the next game because it's 2 days away, and it's against West Brom, and David Moyes thinks, you know what, I need Thomas Suchek for the rest of the season, so let me just rest him for this week. And that happens when you're screwed. So just be careful of those sort of.
But if it's but if you look at the teams that have double fixtures, it's Chelsea, it's Leicester, Leeds is there if you want to triple captain Patrick Bamford. Liverpool play Burnley in that second fixture. Would you triple captain if you still have the triple captain chip available? Mo Salah. I know Liverpool's going through a bad round of games, but would you triple captain Mo Salah, or if you've got Sadio Mane, or even Jamie Vardy at this point in time? Because obviously the 2 games in the game week, you can get a nice healthy points, and you can probably even get over 100.
Also, just remember, United are playing their next 3 Premier League games away from home, and something about away from home. Look, I've been to
Manchester, but it's not in the double game week. You're not in the double game week. It's not about Bruno anymore. Sorry. Sorry, dude.
We're playing Liverpool and we're playing Fulham in a double.
Oh, Fulham United. Yes, Bruno's in. Okay, sorry. I do apologize. Okay, cool. Yes. So we can bring Bruno into the conversation.
And Fulham as cities are better than Manchester, because especially where it's like a car park. But it's a nice stadium. Old stadium.
So there is that option. But we'll talk about that next week, guys. One more thing about this game week 18. How many players do you think I should have in my squad right now that can play game week 18? And how what's the threshold for me to actually use the free hit? Because for instance, if I've got 8 players who can play, do I use the free hit? But if I've got, and obviously if I've got like 5 or 4, I have to. But if I've got 8 or 7, what's the number that you're thinking to use the free hit on?
So my thing is, this is probably going to be the biggest double game week and biggest blank game week that we're going to see this season. So if you've got 8, still use it. Just purely based on the fact that you're missing points on 4, and that's going to be the biggest one. So there's no sort of set number. Obviously, if you've got 11 guys playing, well, somehow you're probably sitting last in the overall Premier League if you've got one of these guys playing. But if you've got 11, leave the 11. But and if you don't have the free hit, obviously you can't. But I would 100% if you've got to play it, regardless of how many players you have. And you can either go one of 2 ways. You can either say, okay, I've got if you've got 8, 9 players maybe playing this blank game week, leave it, and then you can maybe play your free hit in the double game week and just get all of those guys in. So it kind of depends what your team is before the blank game week, and if it's looking terrible for the double game week and you don't have enough guys, then maybe do the reverse, play the free hit with the double game week. But I don't think many guys would have these guys that are playing in 18 in the blank game week. So yeah,
another problem with these 7 fixtures, I think it's 6 fixtures, is that I've got 8 players who are playing, but they're playing each other. So I've got Villa defender playing Son and Kane. No, it's not going to work. So invariably, if you have a full team of guys, they're probably going to be playing against each other. You don't want that. So
okay. Thank you very much, guys. That was, I think, very educational for those who don't know. For some of us, we're going to have to go back and figure out our FPL strategies for game week 18. But I think mine was already kind of certain. For those who are watching and listening, so that was very good. I think all we can say is good luck to all the FPLers who are watching us for game week 18. We'll be back next week for game week 19 tips. That's the double game week. That's the money ball. That's like winning the lottery. And so Up until then, enjoy the FA Cup. If you're playing some random team from God knows where, all the best. Some of us are playing Premier League sides. I thought some teams playing
Spurs
Marine.
are playing Marine. We're
What
playing
is
Marine. It doesn't matter. Spurs are such a good club. We're even looking to promote football across the country. That's how good we are as a side.
Yes. So enjoy. Yeah. So I think from us, enjoy the FA Cup. Remember, please do interact with us on these different platforms. But from myself, Dean, and AB, thank you very much for watching us. And we'll be back next week. Do share, let the world know that the Cheap Seats is back in 2021.